not only gut renovated a brownstone shell back in 2004, but I also just recently broke a record for my sale on 122nd Street, so I know a thing or two about maximizing the value of a townhouse. If you want to maximize the value of your sale, here are my 10 tips for getting it right. Owning a townhouse takes a great deal of time, money, and effort, and I know when you're ready to sell, you're going to want to maximize that sale price. I decided it was time for me to share my top 10 tips for getting your property ready to sell. This is based on my past 20 years experience of helping sellers and buyers like yourself. The first is curb appeal. The first step is to take a look at your facade because the buyer will approach your home and that's what they'll notice first. Now, I know that redoing a facade is a huge expense. That's not at all what I'm recommending, but just see what you can tidy up, and boy, a few plants do wonders. My next recommendation is going to cost you a little bit of money, but it can save you money in the long run. I recommend you get a professional inspection of your house done before you put it on the market. And here's why. Your buyer's going to get an inspector anyway. Don't you want to know what they're going to find out? I once had a seller have to negotiate $100,000 off the contract price because they found a flaw in the foundation that needed to be fixed. Now, if the seller had known in advance, it would have cost them less than half that amount to fix it. So save yourself time and money. Professional inspection will cost you anywhere from $800 to $1,200, and it's money well spent. Deal with any leaking issues or evidence of leaking well before you put your townhouse on the market. Leaks will kill a deal. Now, you might have had a leak 10 years ago and there's just this faint brown spot on the ceiling. You know it's not an issue. Just paint over it and then there won't be any questions. What about the floors? It's interesting how many people ask me this. Now, floors, believe it or not, are very personal. And when you live with your floors, you see every little flaw. And what you find a flaw, somebody else might find charming. And a lot of older townhouses have older floors and people love them. Additionally, it's not practical. Unless you're completely moving out of the townhouse and taking all the furniture out before you put it on the market, you're not going to redo the floors. Let's focus on what's important. You're going to want to check all your windows. If you have any panes that are broken or clouded, get those repaired and make sure that the windows open and close easily. Now, is this a big deal? No, you've probably lived with one broken window in a townhouse with many windows, but it is a sign of care. And if a buyer comes through and sees a townhouse is well cared for, they're likely to pay more. Now let's look at your paint. If it's really scuffed up, you are going to need to repaint. Now, I know that repainting an entire townhouse is expensive, so really focus on the areas that are banged up. But here's another thing to keep in mind. If you have bright colors, deep saturated colors, they don't actually translate well online. Neutrals do. I had one townhouse owner that had the most gorgeous, deep, rich aubergine walls, but it looked terrible online. So we had to repaint it white, and as soon as we did, we got what we were looking for. Townhouses are prized for their privacy, and that includes the private outdoor space. So please cast a critical eye through your backyard or your roof terrace. Now, it doesn't need to be perfect, and if it's not beautifully landscaped, that's okay, but it does need to be tidy. Broken furniture, old hoses, anything of the sort needs to be thrown out just so it appears crisp and clean. If you have a beautiful garden, congratulations, kudos to you. Make sure it's photographed when it's at its peak. Next up, check your paperwork. Go into the city website and make sure you don't have any violations you're unaware of, that your certificate of occupancy is good, and that there are no issues that need to be revealed to a buyer well in advance of getting an offer. I tell all my sellers to declutter, but particularly townhouse owners. And trust me, I know. I've lived in a townhouse. It's really easy to collect a bunch of stuff. So my recommendation is, if you haven't used it in the past year, the rule is get rid of it. And if you're going to keep it, put it in storage or box it up neatly because you're going to be moving anyway. Now don't forget the cellar. It's not a place we go on a regular basis, that I understand. A very serious buyer will want to see the cellar. Please make sure the stairs are cleared, the lights are on, that it's been swept, that you've taken out that garbage, because remember, you just decluttered, and just make it easy to navigate. If there are any musty smells leaking, well, you already had the inspector, so you've addressed that. When it's time for you to sell your townhouse, if you want to collect the top dollar, follow my 10 steps and reach out to me. I am always happy to give you a no obligation free assessment of what your townhouse could list for today. You don't have to be on the verge of selling. Thank you so much for watching my video on how to maximize the value of your townhouse. Remember, as I always say, you make your money in real estate when you buy wisely, and you collect it when you sell.